Australia's national AI plan aims to transform the nation into a leader in the AI industry by enhancing infrastructure, supporting workers and ensuring safety while spreading the benefits of the technology across all communities. For more, I'm joined by Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. Good to see you. What are the main objectives of this national AI plan? Because everyone's talking about what should and shouldn't happen, concerns about workers, but what's in the plan?
I mean, they tried to cover a lot of things off in this plan, but it's still very light on detail for quite a comprehensive document. It doesn't really drill down to much actual detail and specifics. So, I mean, last week there was the announcement of the national, it was the AI Safety Institute, which was a good move. And I think this is, going to help with this particular rollout of the plan in some areas, of course. But I think there was a real focus on infrastructure and data centres and things like that, but not a lot of talk about the environmental impact of these data centres. As you know, AI needs huge amounts of water and other natural resources to actually work, and so that was in there. The investment on the sort of infrastructure is there. There was also some mention of training, but there seems to be a greater emphasis on the infrastructure more than the people that are going to be really highly skilled and trained in and AI literate to be able to make this successful if the plan rolls out the way that it's been stated in this document.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Australia obviously has somewhat of an energy debate, and that's an understatement. Obviously, governments keep changing as a result, party leaders keep changing as a result, and I don't think an AI document is going to fix that one. But you make a good point. Obviously, we want the jobs and the investment, the international investment that comes from data centres, but there's the power question mark over that. How do you power these data centres when we don't have nuclear power? What's the plan talk about when it comes to building smart infrastructure? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I think they're trying to make it as efficient as possible. And I mean, it's hard with infrastructure because it's got to keep in line with the technology, and the technology's moving so fast. So I'm assuming that this whole smart approach is to make sure that it can keep up, and it does so without huge impacts. But the actual detail of that was not actually included in the report.
Yeah, it sounds like the report might have been written by ChatGPT. Now, what does the plan actually aim to support domestic AI capability here as well? Because we're hearing from the unions, they're wanting to put a lot of, locks around this to make sure that we don't lose employees because of AI. The government not really going down that path in this report.
No, they were talking more in terms of the people side of it. They were talking more about sort of bridging the gaps in terms of, I guess, AI adoption and literacy. So in regional areas, the adoption rate is lower than in city areas, but also, I mean, there's a huge training gap everywhere. And so there was an action in this plan to help with that. But again, not a lot of detail, just a lot of list of partnering with educational organisations and training organisations, but no real detail on what people are going to be learning, how and over what time period. Because, I mean, as we know, AI changes all the time and skills need to change all the time as well to keep up with it. So it can't be just, oh, let's do a workshop and then that's it. This needs to be an ongoing investment and an ongoing commitment to make sure people are trained in a way that they can actually make sure that the AI is being used efficiently and in a relevant way as well.
Yes, it's such a fascinating point you make there, because obviously, and it's similar to the social media ban that we're talking about next, you've got countries around the world, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, giving free access to its citizens for ChatGPT in the ability to make sure that they don't fall behind. And we are more interested in having a conversation about protecting workers' rights as opposed to making sure that workers are prepared for what is eventually going to come one way or another. How does the plan intend to attract, I guess, global investment into Australia's AI industry? And is there any plan to give Australians free access to AI?
Well, it doesn't seem like there is a plan to give Australians free access, but more free access to training. I think it will be pushed back onto businesses and things like that. I mean, there isn't really any talk yet about any sort of government schemes which will subsidise the the cost of AI integration and things like that, but more like support in terms of training and more advice and in that sort of way. So that's really interesting to see how that's going to go. And I think in terms of the investment, um, from other countries, I think it'll be around the development. But I mean, honestly, the hubs of AI development aren't really here. So it's going to be interesting how we're going to compete with other countries in the world where they've been doing this for such a long time. It's interesting that our plans come out now. Other countries have been well on the forefront of this well before today, and
Yeah.
how are we actually going to compete with those countries to be an attractive option for investment is something that I would like to see play out for sure.
All right, let's move on. New research revealing a staggering 624,000 Australian teens aged 14 and 15 still active on social media just ahead of the upcoming law banning access for under 16s. What does the new data, I guess, reveal about social media usage among 14 to 15-year-old Australians? What do we know?
Well, we're saying that the study showed that this ban is going to impact nearly everyone in that age demographic because they're all using it. So 99.96% in this study were using some form of social media and multiple platforms at that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when this ban takes effect. But from all of the sort of stuff on TikTok and all the other social channels where young people are active, it's going to be a case of like whack-a-mole. They're already going, go over here, go over there. So there's they're going to like Lemonade, and then there's another one. I haven't got the name right now, but they're all like telling each other, go over to this one, go over to that one. It's not included in the ban yet, but it will be. So it's just going to be a case of them constantly moving. They'll be like social media nomads trying to find a community where they can't be bothered by the governmental ban.
It's unbelievable. I'm not going to give you my opinion on it, but the very first thing I learned at school is you can't make a law unless you can police it. And there seems to be a move by governments at the moment to go against that, to bring in a law even if you can't really police it. And I've got questions about this. I'm keen for your perspective.
Sure.
Kids don't all turn 16 at the same time. So in a school, you're going to have some kids who are using social media and some who aren't. You can't ban bullying. If we could, we'd just put a law in place and we ban bullying. And whether it's online or in the schoolyard, it's the same kind of interaction. Seeing a magazine of a skinny person can lead to the same body dysmorphia concerns of seeing a skinny person on Instagram. I don't know how you do what they're trying to intend to do, which seems to have great intentions, but what's the reality of it?
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. And there needs to be a much stronger focus on education. So we talk about literacy, and we need social media, digital literacy as well in this sort of sense. I mean, the way that we learn when we're younger that a movie isn't real. I mean, we've got to sort of teach younger people about how to separate themselves and not feel like social media is reality and compare themselves and things like that. And also in terms of the bullying side of things, there's been research from the Thompson Institute from UniSC to show that with bullying on social media, okay, if you restrict the victim from social media because of the bullying, you also restrict them from their support network. So that also has negative impacts as well. So it's not just...
you're exactly right. It's the unintended consequences, right? I was the youngest in my year level. And if all of my friends were able to be on Instagram and I wasn't, the exclusion I would feel from that would have mental health problems as well, where you're on your own, you're not part of what the cool kids are doing. I just don't feel like it's really been thought out enough. I feel like this is a government angry with US tech giants for not signing up to the media bargaining code. And the clue there is the second that YouTube gave up on its media bargaining rights, that's when the government included them in this under 16s ban. And as you say, there are so many platforms and so many different places that people can find. And kids are smart. If it isn't VPNs, obviously they're going to find another way because it's in their interests to do so. And it's going to be a bit like, grandma and your parents trying to find what you're up to as a kid, and you get very good at hiding it. We'll see how it goes. Always appreciate your insights. Dr. Karen Sutherland there from the University of the Sunshine Coast. Thank you.
Thank you.